What's up, everyone? Welcome to Reece and Joey's video on plant diversity. Sit tight as we delve deep into the wonderful world of plants. Starting with bryophytes, which include mosses, liverworts, and hornworts, are non-vascular plants commonly found in damp and shaded environments, such as forests and along stream banks. They lack specialized vascular tissue for conducting water and nutrients, relying on moisture for reproduction and survival. Bryophytes reproduce via spores, which are dispersed by wind or water. They reproduce using haploid gametes, where sperm and egg are both haploid, combining during fertilization to form a diploid zygote, which develops into a sporophyte.
Next, we have pteridophytes, such as ferns, horsetails, and whisk ferns, are vascular plants typically found in moist and shaded habitats, including forests, wetlands, and tropical regions. They have specialized vascular tissues for conducting water and nutrients, enabling them to grow taller and colonize diverse environments. Water is not required by them for fertilization. They reproduce using haploid spores, which develop into gametophytes, producing haploid gametes, sperm and egg, via sori, which are clusters of sporangia found on the undersides of fern fronds. Some ancient fern species date back to over 360 million years ago, making them one of the oldest plant groups on Earth. Here is an example of sori, which can be found on the undersides of fern fronds mentioned earlier. Now on to gymnosperms. These are typically cone-bearing plants including conifers, cycads, and gametophytes. Are seed plants commonly found in a variety of habitats, from temperate forests to arid deserts and alpine regions. They produce naked seeds, typically housed within cones or similar structures, and are well adapted to colder climates and harsh conditions. Gymnosperms reproduce using both haploid and diploid structures. Male cones produce haploid pollen grains containing male gametes, which are carried to female cones where they fertilize haploid eggs within ovules, forming diploid zygotes that develop into seeds, which are often dispersed by wind or animals and do not require water for reproduction. Conifers, such as pine and spruce trees, are amongst the tallest and longest-lived organisms on Earth. Some cycads are very rare, with many species facing threats such as habitat destruction, illegal harvesting, and climate change.
Last on our list, we have angiosperms, or flowering plants, which represent the most diverse group of plants and are found in almost every single terrestrial habitat worldwide, from tropical rainforests to arid deserts and polar regions. They reproduce using flowers where haploid pollen grains containing male gametes are transferred from the stigma of the pistil, where they travel down the style to fertilize the haploid ovule within the ovary, forming a diploid zygote that develops into a seed enclosed within a fruit. The seeds are dispersed by various agents including animals, wind, water, and even gravity, and do not require water for reproduction. Angiosperms have multiple agents of pollination, specifically bees and birds, which play a crucial role in transferring pollen between flowers, aiding in fertilization and reproduction. Unlike bryophytes, gymnosperms, angiosperms, and pteridophytes have the ability to reproduce sexually, which allows them to have genetic diversity and survive better in harsh environmental conditions. The angiosperm family includes plants ranging from small herbs to towering trees, with some species exhibiting extraordinary adaptations such as carnivorous plants and orchids. Now you'll be able to hear birds, which act as an agent of pollination for angiosperms, in the following clip. I would also like to give a volume warning to anyone that is sensitive to loud noises.
Now we look at the dissection of angiosperm's reproductive system. They have leaves that contain vascular tissue. On top of that, they have ovaries and ovules, which are in the androcium or female part of the plant. Here we can take a look at sepals, which serve to protect premature flower buds from external stresses until they are ready to bloom and participate in reproductive processes. Next up is the rest of the gynosium, comprising the stigma and style, serves as the female reproductive organ in flowering plants, facilitating the capture of pollen grains and the transport of male gametes through pollen tubes to the ovary for fertilization. As we take a look at the androcium, we look at the anther, attached to the filament, produces pollen grains as the male reproductive structure of the flower, essential for the transfer of sperm cells to the female reproductive organs during pollination.
Now, let's take a look at abiotic factors. These are wind, which as an abiotic factor shapes plants by sculpting their growth, dispersing seeds, and enhancing pollination, fostering adaptation and resilience in the face of environmental changes. Next up, we have water, which is as an abiotic factor crucially affects plants by regulating hydration, nutrient uptake, and distribution, pivotal for their growth, survival, and ecological interactions.
Slope or gradient, which is an abiotic factor, influences plant distribution by affecting soil drainage, microclimate variation, and erosion rates, shaping the composition and structure of ecosystems through its impact on habitat stability and resource availability. An edaphic factor, soil, which as an abiotic factor dictates plant growth by providing essential nutrients, anchorage, and water retention, profoundly shaping ecosystem structure and productivity.
Next up, sunlight. It was a vital abiotic factor that drives photosynthesis, influencing plant growth, development, and flowering patterns, ultimately shaping ecosystem dynamics and species distribution in diverse habitats. Sexual reproduction in plants involves the fusion of male and female gametes, leading to the genetically diverse offspring through meiosis and fertilization, while asexual reproduction results in genetically identical clones of the parental plant. In changing environmental conditions, sexual reproduction offers advantages such as genetic diversity, which increases the likelihood of producing individuals with traits beneficial for adaptation and survival. This genetic variation allows populations to adapt more effectively to fluctuations in environmental factors, resist pathogens and pests, and maintain long-term viability by reducing the accumulation of deleterious mutations and promoting the evolutionary innovation. Consequently, sexual reproduction is favored in ensuring the resilience and adaptability of plant populations in dynamic ecosystems. Now, as our microscope unveils the hidden realms of anthers and pollen, we are reminded every speck holds the universe's whispered secrets, urging us to embrace nature's symphony with eyes wide open and hearts attuned to its boundless wonder.